welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a question that's probably always humming in the background for many of us. What really sets apart people who achieve, significant success?
Mm-hmm.
We've been digging into this source called What Successful People Do Differently, and our goal isn't just another summary.
Right.
We want to pull out the really powerful stuff, the daily habits, those maybe subtle mindset shifts that you can actually start using right away, to move towards your goals, but without feeling like, oh, great, another overwhelming checklist.
Yeah, finding the real leverage points.
Exactly.
And forgetting that myth of overnight success or some magic talent you either have or you don't.
Right.
This source, it really argues that success is much more about adding up intentional choices, habits that are really ingrained, and, just a particular way of dealing with the world.
So we're going to kind of unpack those core bits it identifies.
We are. From how they deliberately set up their mornings, which is fascinating, to the power of their connections with people, which often gets overlooked. And what's interesting is how these things, they seem separate, but they actually, they boost each other in really powerful ways.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So let's start with something really basic. The morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the source mentions waking up early, but reading between the lines, it feels like the actual clock time isn't the magic ingredient.
No, it's not about the 4 a.m. club necessarily.
Right. It's how they use that time. That seems to be the key thing. Creating that sort of quiet buffer zone for focus, for prep, setting yourself up to kind of lead the day.
Exactly, rather than just, reacting to whatever hits your inbox first.
Yeah.
And what's really key here isn't just skipping the snooze button. It's that conscious choice to protect your headspace right at the start.
How so?
Well, the source really stresses avoiding the phone first thing. Like, no jumping straight into emails or scrolling social media or the news cycle. Think of it like setting your own mental agenda before the world throws its agenda at you. It just helps you start feeling more grounded, less reactive.
That makes a lot of sense. Even just a few minutes of quiet can shift things, can't it?
Totally. And it's not just about what you don't do, it's also about what you actively do. Like gratitude.
Okay, tell me about that.
It comes up as a really significant practice, just taking a few moments intentionally to appreciate stuff, big or small.
Like
even just being thankful for a decent night's sleep or the coffee you're about to have. It's almost like tuning your brain to look for the positive.
Recalibrating your mental sensors.
Yeah. And it has this surprisingly strong effect on your outlook, your motivation for the whole day.
So if you connect that deliberate positivity, that self-awareness in the morning, it probably echoes through the rest of the day.
That's the idea. It's like setting your internal compass early on. And the source also mentions moving your body.
Oh, okay. Like hitting the gym hard.
Not necessarily. It could be super simple, like some basic stretches or just a quick walk around the block, just to, wake up the mind-body connection, get the blood flowing a bit.
Like a gentle jumpstart for your system.
Exactly. Priming the engine, so to speak.
Right. Getting mind and body kind of online, but intentionally.
Yeah.
And then there's planning, right? Which sounds obvious, but...
But it's easily skipped. Yeah, the source mentions just 5 or 10 minutes. Review goals, maybe make a focused to-do list. It seems to be a common thread.
It's about consciously grabbing the steering wheel for your day, isn't it? Deciding what matters instead of just fighting fires.
Yeah, moving from being a passive recipient to the active director, it really raises that question of agency, By outlining your priorities, you're actively shaping things. You're the architect of your time, not just like a tenant dealing with demands.
I like that architect analogy.
And the source also points to maybe reading something inspiring. Or listening to a podcast, maybe.
Oh, interesting. Like feeding your brain first thing.
Yeah, exactly. Fueling your mind with positive stuff, growth-oriented ideas right from the get-go.
Setting the mental tone. The source actually gives a really practical template, doesn't it? Something like wake up 30 minutes early, water, 5-minute stretch, list 3 gratitude things, plan top 3 tasks, read or listen to something inspiring.
Yeah, something like that. And it presents it as an experiment. Like, try it, tweak it, find what actually works for you.
And that's a really key point, isn't it? These aren't rigid rules.
Absolutely not. They're adaptable principles. What clicks for one person might not for another. The core idea is start your day with intention. Create a routine that actually helps you feel productive and, well, good.
Being deliberate in those first moments.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears to goal setting. The source really emphasizes clarity here. Vague goals.
Yeah.
They just don't cut it, apparently.
Yeah, read more is nice, but it doesn't really lead anywhere specific, does it? That's where SMART goals come in, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-based.
Right. The example they give, read 10 pages daily for 1 month versus just read more. It's such a clear difference.
It really is. One's a map, the other's just kind of drifting. And that SMART framework, it turns these fuzzy wishes into actual concrete plans. It gives you a roadmap, milestones. It makes big goals feel less scary.
Less overwhelming, yeah.
And the source also talks about breaking down those huge goals, the ones that feel totally insurmountable.
Yeah, those can paralyze you.
Right. So break them down into smaller, manageable chunks. Like climbing a mountain, you focus on the next step, not the summit way up there.
Totally. Like the business example, research first, then plan, then talk to someone. Each step feels doable.
Exactly. And each step gives you that little win, that sense of momentum.
Which is crucial for sticking with it long term.
Absolutely vital.
Yeah.
And another simple thing they mention, actually writing your goals down.
On paper?
Yeah, or digitally, I suppose. But physically getting them out of your head makes them feel more real, like a commitment. And it helps you remember them.
And reviewing them regularly. Then
Acts as a constant reminder, keeps your focus sharp.
it makes your goals visible, more tangible. But life happens, right? Things change.
For sure. And the source acknowledges that. It stresses reviewing and adjusting goals, like weekly or monthly check-ins. Are you on track? Is this goal still relevant? Do you need to tweak things?
So it's about being agile, not just stubborn.
Exactly. Adaptability isn't weakness, it's smart. Recognizing when things need to change shows, well, wisdom.
Okay. Then there's the challenge of distractions,
Yeah.
which is like constant these days.
Tell me about it. Yeah, the source really digs into protecting your focus, creating dedicated time blocks for that deep, concentrated work,
Time blocking.
and using tools strategically, lists, calendars, timers, maybe even website blockers, whatever it takes to minimize those interruptions.
Creating a sanctuary for focus, you called it,
Yeah.
both physically and digitally.
Yeah, something like that. Cut down the noise so your brain can actually engage properly, which usually means better work, faster.
Makes sense.
It also touches on visualization, picturing the outcome you want.
How does that help?
It keeps you inspired, emotionally connected to the goal, especially when, motivation dips or things get tough.
Right, keeping your why front and center when the daily grind feels grindy.
Precisely. And finally, under goals, it really emphasizes commitment and consistency.
Ah, the hard part.
Often, yeah. It acknowledges that motivation, it comes and goes, it's fickle.
Totally.
Success, the source argues, comes from just showing up. Consistent effort, even on the days you really don't feel like it. Building that identity of someone who just keeps going.
It's about resilience then. Not always feeling inspired, but doing it anyway.
Exactly. Those small, consistent actions, they compound over time. It's the power of daily discipline.
Okay, let's pivot to managing time. The source starts with something quite simple. Planning your day the night before.
Yeah, deceptively simple, right?
Yeah.
But it gives you that mental head start for the next day.
And it helps you sleep better, maybe.
Wow.
Gets the tasks out of your head.
That's the idea. Reduces that mental clutter. So you wake up with clarity, not instantly feeling, oh my God, what do I need to do?
Right. Then it introduces the Eisenhower matrix for prioritization.
Mm-hmm. Urgent versus important. Helps you sort tasks into do now Plan, delegate, or just. Delete.
That matrix, urgent, important, important, not urgent, urgent, not important, not urgent, not important. Yeah, that seems like a really practical way to cut through the noise.
It really helps you zero in on the high-impact stuff rather than just being busy.
And then time blocking comes up again.
It does. Dedicating specific chunks of time in your schedule for specific things, like 9 to 10 a.m. is writing time. No emails, no calls.
You really foster that deep work state. Avoid switching costs.
Exactly. You get into a flow state much easier. But importantly, the source also talks about respecting your energy levels.
Oh, interesting. So not just clock watching.
Right. Aligning your most demanding tasks with when you naturally have the most energy, not forcing yourself to do heavy lifting when you're hitting an afternoon slump.
That feels much more sustainable.
Yeah.
Working with your body's rhythm.
It is. And then there's the tough one, learning to say no.
Oof.
Strategically declining things that aren't essential. Protecting your time and focus. Being the gatekeeper of your schedule.
Recognizing your time is finite. Setting those boundaries.
Exactly. Saying no to stuff that doesn't align actually creates space for the stuff that does matter.
And what about automation and delegation?
Huge leverage points. Using tech for routine stuff, auto payments, email filters, whatever, and trusting others with tasks they can handle.
Freeing you up for the higher value work.
Precisely. It's about multiplying your effectiveness.
And finally, reflecting on how you use your time.
Yeah, that continuous improvement loop. End of the day or week, quick review, what worked, what didn't, how can I optimize?
Treating time management like an ongoing experiment.
You got it. Refining it constantly.
Okay, let's talk continuous learning and growth. The source suggests successful people are just really curious.
Yeah, inherently inquisitive, always asking questions, wanting to understand things more deeply. And that curiosity, it seems, fuels new ideas, makes them more mentally flexible.
A mindset of just perpetual inquiry.
That's a good way to put it. Learning isn't something you finish, it's lifelong. This curiosity drives that thirst for knowledge, that willingness to engage with new, sometimes challenging ideas.
And reading comes up again. Daily reading.
Yep, even just 10 or 15 minutes. It's highlighted as a key way to constantly expose yourself to new stuff, broaden your understanding, sharpen your thinking, like a daily mental workout.
The compounding effect again. Small inputs, big results over time.
Exactly. And learning from others is huge, too. Actively listening in conversations, seeking out mentors, colleagues, being open to different viewpoints.
Even ones you disagree with.
Especially ones you disagree with. Sometimes every interaction is potentially a learning moment.
And seeking feedback.
Yeah.
Actively asking for it.
Yeah, proactively. The honest feedback is a gift, really. A tool for improvement, for catching blind spots. Takes humility, though.
Definitely. Requires that growth mindset, being willing to hear it and use it.
Right. And even with packed schedules, the source says they prioritize things like courses, workshops, conferences, for skills and networking.
Recognizing that standing still is actually falling behind.
Absolutely. It's a commitment to improvement. But it's not just about taking in information, it's reflecting on it.
Processing it. How does it apply to me?
Exactly. Moving beyond just consuming info to actually constructing knowledge in your own context.
And then actually doing something with it.
The crucial step, practice what you learn. Apply it in the real world. That's where the real growth happens.
Knowledge without action is just
potential, like a seed never planted. Yeah. And underlying all this is that growth mindset we mentioned, believing you can improve with effort. Seeing challenges as learning ops, not roadblocks.
That not yet idea. I can't do this yet.
Precisely. It reframes everything, fosters resilience, turns setbacks into stepping stones.
Okay, let's explore the power of positive thinking. The source talks about managing your self-talk.
Yeah, actively. Recognizing that negative inner voice and consciously replacing it with something more constructive, more encouraging, building confidence from the inside.
Being the editor of your own inner monologue.
That's a great way to put it, because that internal narrative, It has a huge impact on what we believe, what we do, what we achieve.
Right.
And closely related is focusing on what you can actually control.
Your actions, attitude, effort.
Exactly. Rather than getting spun up about external stuff you can't influence, it gives you back that sense of agency, stops you feeling helpless.
Channeling your energy where it counts. And gratitude pops up again here
But
too.
it does. Daily gratitude practice, like journaling. Intentionally shifting focus to the good stuff, however small. Training your brain to notice the positive.
Even when things are tough.
Especially when things are tough. It builds resilience, boosts well-being, fosters that optimistic outlook.
And reframing negatives. Seeing setbacks as lessons.
Yeah, consciously reinterpreting challenges. Not I failed, but what can I learn from this? Finding that hidden lesson.
Silver lining approach. That takes practice, I bet.
It does, but it's a hallmark of that resilient mindset. And affirmations come into play too.
Repeating positive statements.
To build self-belief, reinforce that positive outlook. It's like mental conditioning, shaping your beliefs over time.
Interesting. And avoiding negativity, like people or media.
Yeah, being mindful of the impact. Negative people, constant bad news. It drains you. So consciously choosing supportive environments, uplifting content.
Your environment matters.
Yeah.
Socially and informationally.
Hugely. Being selective protects your mindset.
And keeping a long-term perspective.
Right. Seeing current struggles as temporary bumps in the road, focusing on the bigger picture helps you avoid getting derailed by short-term frustrations.
Seeing the forest for the trees.
Exactly. Provides perspective, resilience. And finally, celebrating the small wins.
Acknowledging progress along the way.
Yeah. Don't wait for the giant finish line. Appreciate the small steps forward. It builds confidence, keeps motivation humming, creates that positive feedback loop.
Giving yourself credit as you go. Makes sense.
Builds momentum, reinforces the positive outlook.
Okay, last big area. Building strong relationships. The source really stresses choosing your circle carefully.
Absolutely. Who you surround yourself with has a massive influence. Seek out supportive, growth-oriented people. Limit exposure to negativity, to energy drainers.
Your network affects more than just your career then.
Definitely. It impacts your well-being, your motivation, everything. Choose wisely. Create that supportive ecosystem.
And the idea of giving before taking.
Yeah. Leading with contribution. Offering value support. It's fundamental for building trust, for creating connections that last. Cultivating generosity.
It's about reciprocity and mutual respect, not just transactions.
Exactly. And being a good listener comes up strong.
Actively listening. Empathetically.
Yeah. Truly hearing someone, making them feel valued. It fosters understanding, strengthens communication, deepens the bond. Connection starts with really listening.
Builds that rapport and trust. And
Boom.
clear, honest communication.
Foundational. Direct, respectful communication minimizes misunderstandings, builds trust, reduces stress.
No.
Just be clear.
Cuts through ambiguity. And celebrating others' success, that's interesting.
Yeah, genuinely cheering for others. It shifts things from competition to collaboration to mutual encouragement, creates a positive community.
Fosters that supportive vibe where everyone feels appreciated. What about conflict? It happens.
It does. The key is handling it respectfully. Calmness.
Yeah.
Active listening to understand their side. Focusing on solutions, not blame.
Approaching it as a chance to understand and maybe even strengthen things.
Exactly. Conflict handled well can actually build resilience in a relationship.
I'm just staying in touch.
Yeah.
The simple act of reaching out.
Crucial. Regular small gestures matter. A quick text, a call, shows you value the connection, keeps it alive.
Demonstrating care consistently.
And finally, seeing every interaction, every relationship as a chance to learn through feedback, through different perspectives.
Being open to what others can teach you.
Right. Viewing relationships as opportunities for mutual growth and support, it just enriches everything.
So to kind of wrap things up, we've seen this pattern, haven't we?
Yeah.
Successful people seem to approach mornings intentionally.
Set clear, focused goals.
Manage time strategically.
Prioritize continuous learning.
Cultivate positive thinking.
And build strong, supportive relationships. It really feels like success is less about one big thing and more about consistently doing these fundamental things day in, day out.
It's the accumulation.
Exactly. And the crucial point is, these aren't secret codes or innate gifts. The source makes it clear. These are learnable habits, conscious mindset shifts. Anyone can start incorporating them.
It's about taking ownership
Of your actions, your thoughts. Yes.
So for you listening, maybe the next step is pretty simple. Choose just one thing we talked about today.
Yeah.
Maybe two. Something that really resonated.
Yeah.
And just commit to practicing it for, say, the next week. See what happens. Maybe take a moment each evening to think, how did that little change affect my day, my focus, my progress?
It's a great starting point. And here's a final thought to consider. Imagine consistently applying just one of these principles, day after day. How could that compound over time? It could lead to significant growth, maybe in ways you can't even fully picture right now. So what single, maybe small seeming change, if you really committed to it daily, could potentially have the biggest long-term impact on your most important goals?